Welcome, man. We're back. That podcast is back, man. Little man's on summer vacation, so he's chilling right now. I haven't had one of these in a couple of weeks, but reason being, man, I've been trying to catch this star right here for a while. She's busy, I'm busy. When I do this dad podcast, it's all about giving roses to talented people. And you don't have to know the person to salute them. And this one here, I've never met her, but I see her artwork, I see her talent, and it's one of those things that has to be shown to more people, and that's what this platform's all about. I seen her artwork and I got inspired by it. We reached out and connected and just follow her on Facebook, just seeing her inspirational stories even more, and her just chasing a dream. And for all those young girls that I coach, man, I keep telling y'all, chase dream, anything's possible. And it's another young lady that's doing exactly that, of chasing a dream, and now she's making a reality, putting her artwork in the store and doing her thing. So that's why I wanted to bring her on and salute her. So welcome, Kylie. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I know you're finally I see a little bit of your work in the store. So where did the drive from come from, being the artwork and getting into art and crafts?
Well, I've always been really artistic since I was a kid. I've always thrived doing basically anything artistic. So it's just something I've always had a hobby doing. And then I ended up going to a technical high school where I went through metal fabrication, and I learned how to program machines to cut pictures out of metal and things like that. And I ended up winning an art competition at Mass MoCA, which is a national art museum for contemporary art. And that was kind of one of the things where I was like, all right, maybe I do have like a little bit of talent that I'm kind of wasting now. And then after I ended up graduating, I kind of worked a couple jobs here and there. And then I stumbled on the idea when I just made a couple for a friend. They were like, oh, I need some home decor. And I basically picked up right from there, and more people loved it. They wanted it. And it's just gone way larger than I ever thought it would have.
Now, I know for a lot of people, they always say like art, music, and those things in school. A lot of schools are taking those away. Now, was that a tough field to transition into, knowing that there's not as many jobs out there?
Yeah, it's definitely something it really kind of hits home, especially them removing it a lot from a lot of schools and things like that. And like I said, with the high school that I went to, they did not have art and music or any of those classes. It was a vocational school. So that's where I kind of ended up learning how to adapt to still end up doing what I love to do in a different setting. And I mean, it is unfortunate that it's being taken away from a lot of youth, but I mean, you got to kind of adapt and overcome.
And I know like my son's 9, and like when I tell him, you gotta do an art project, he'll just draw something small to say it's done. He is so happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that he loves to draw. He'll sit there for an hour to make sure it's perfect. What was you like when
Absolutely.
you was a kid coming up drawing?
So a lot of my stuff, I would do a lot of more like creations. Me and my father, actually, we would go out and we would find essentially junk. We'd go out junking and go to all these abandoned places and find all these really cool old things and restore them and turn them into something beautiful to put into your home. So it kind of really all started there with my dad. I drew here and there. I wasn't too much of a drawer per se. I've kind of picked up little hacks here and there, so I've gotten a little bit better with my drawing over the years. But painting, I never did it, and it was so weird that that's what I ended up doing, just because I didn't really expect it at all. I still do my restorations with my father, and I'm kind of starting to think that I want to start incorporating that in with painting. I've been trying to figure out a way, but something's coming soon to basically incorporate them together, hopefully.
And it's great. A lot of times when people have that talent, for a lot of times it's like they wait for someone else to tell them like, oh, that's great, or they gotta wait for that acknowledgement. Were you one that always had that journal? Did you make it a whole bunch of paintings there and kept it to yourself, or were you just quick to put them out there?
So, I mean, I love to share. I am an oversharer, honestly, from time to time. So as soon as I do anything that I think is pretty cool, I'm always right up there to share it with everybody. Because I'm like I really like to show people that there's more than just black and white, day to day, 9 to 5 jobs.
Hmm.
Like you can do, bring yourself joy besides all of this other stuff. It's like just ways to, calm. And posting all of that stuff and being so confident with myself, with my work, and with everything that I do, I have realized it does make an impact on other people's lives, and they do enjoy seeing my progress, and they enjoy seeing all the things that I do. And it gives them some sort of like boost to, want to get inspired themselves and do their own things. And I feel like that's like the biggest reason why I do this. It's just, I like to watch people do good. I like to watch people succeed, and I like to inspire people. And if I can do that by doing this little thing, then absolutely, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So most times when you inspire someone, you don't even know you're doing it. And like me with coaching, I just coach because I love helping people. And sometimes your painting may be the painting that someone needs at the right time. And you like, oh, I just did that one for fun. Has there been a piece that really stuck out for you?
Yeah, so actually, a couple of the pieces that I have behind me, I kept them out of the store. These are just my personal favorites. I just refuse to sell them unless some sort of crazy number pops up. But for a long time, I'm definitely going to be hanging on to them. This is when I kind of started branching off of my regular paintings, and I started actually manipulating it with my hands and kind of just go what I saw and what I thought looked good. And I did do some larger canvases where I tried to tape off different parts just to really separate the colors to make bold transitions between them. And so those are just a couple of my favorites that I had. I wish I had more here, but I have to stock the store, and I can't keep every art piece that I make.
I know we mentioned the store, but you want to shout out that store so people can see more of your artwork?
Yeah, so my store that I have all the artwork in, there's plenty of other artists in there as well. They don't do canvas art like me. There's some people that do the same restoration stuff that I used to do. There's bracelets, necklaces, candles, and it's called Inspired Creations. And there are just so many artists that basically rent out spaces there. It's in Lanesboro, Massachusetts. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's kind of way out in the Mass. But it's a really nice store. It was just built. The whole building was redesigned. The original building was back, I think, in the early 1900s, and it used to be a tack shop. And the owners of the Rusty Anchor, which is a marina / restaurant, this was the second business that they went ahead and opened. So it's right there in Lanesboro, and it's definitely a really good spot that a lot of people should try to go check out and at least see it. And the area is beautiful. So there's a lot of other things to draw you out here besides the store.
I know like here in Providence right now with the summertime, the farmers markets are popping up and they have a lot of events, and there's so much people bringing their work out there. And it's just, I know me just talking to a couple of vendors, they're always afraid of that reaction the first time, if somebody's gonna like something or if they have a piece that they thought was one of their better ones. Was that something you was afraid of, or your confidence over?
So, I mean, I was definitely like a little concerned going in and like actually selling my work, because you really never know what's going to happen. Like it could blow up or it could just be a flop. And, at the beginning of it, I kind of just like, it kind of was a flop at the beginning. I just didn't have much sales coming out, and just stuff wasn't working out. And I ended up having to, take a step back, take a little bit of time to think, regroup, recoup, and just get back together. And that's when I started kind of coming up with separate ideas to kind of just get more sales up at the store, besides just my canvas work. And after I kind of took the time to take a step back and really analyze like what I needed to do to succeed, I ended up starting to make more epoxy works now as well. So I started making these like small keychains like attached to, I don't know, your purse, your wallet, whatever. Just small stuff, just to try to really keep my business floating while I figure out the rest of this canvas. So it definitely was a fear, but I mean, you can't be afraid. You just got to do it.
Especially nowadays with everything, because I know I started this right after Kobe Bryant had passed, and I always said after he had passed that you never know what tomorrow brings, you never know when's your last day. So where do you keep that positive energy? Because I feel like you're just always smiling now.
I just, a lot of the time, the way that I look at positivity comes and goes. There's going to be days that you just honestly you don't feel positive. You don't feel happy. You don't have anything motivating you at that point in time. And, everybody has and sometimes you just got to sit back and a million and one things are hitting you left and right that are so negative and they're really bringing down your vibe. But you just got to take a step back and just think, like, take into consideration all the small things that you do have, like as small as, I don't know, using your favorite shampoo in the morning, have that bring you some happiness.
Yeah.
Take all these little small things and kind of just realize how much you have rather than how little you do. And after, you kind of change that mindset, you slowly start to see changes. And you really have to be careful with the way that you speak to yourself and your brain. You're your biggest listener, and if you're speaking negatively to yourself about yourself, what do you think is going to happen? Mm-hmm. You just got to try positive at the very least of everything that's going on.
Now, do you think depending on your mood and everything else, does your art change for you?
Highly, it does. A lot of the time, if I am at work and, I'm just not having a good day, I'm not feeling the vibe, I'll just come home and I'll set up my artwork, my art space downstairs. And I have literally probably every color you could possibly imagine downstairs. And it's kind of one of those things where you just sit back and I'm just picking out things like, what do I feel at this point in time? Like, what color is exactly like speaking out to me at this point in time? And that's when you can say, yes, emotions do kind of go into the paintings because, there's a lot happier colors and there's also angry colors too. So you can really base your artwork off of exactly how you're feeling at that point in time, even when it's extremely abstract.
I just like listening to you speak. I feel like you got that motivational, like to do poetry too. I could see you like doing a piece and having a poem that go with it. That's something you do also?
Yeah, so I used to write a lot of poetry and I actually used to write a lot of music because I do sing and I play guitar and piano on top of that as well. I used to sing the national anthem for every single large local event around here, whether it be 4th of July, Memorial Day, everything. I sang at my high school graduation, all of the football games, basketball games, everything, you name it, I've done it.
So it's the trick of all trades. That's what's up.
I'm the type of person I want to know how to do everything, and I'm hardcore and trying to be the best at everything. So
it's one thing, like with me, I could play a sport and be on the field with 5 people, 10, 20 people at one time, but I hated being that only person when the spotlight's on me. So when you're up there singing or doing that, saying that's your piece, you don't get those nervous reactions?
I am the most anxiety-riddled person you will ever meet in your life, surprisingly enough. I carry myself very well in a public setting and definitely when I have all eyes on me. But deep down, I am terrified. Absolutely. And singing in front of all those people, obviously you have the emotions of, oh my God, what if I mess up? Like, what are these people going to do? And you kind of just have to sit there and be like, as long as you're confident, you could completely mess it up. And as long as you have that confidence, they aren't even going to know that you messed it up. So it's really one of those where as long as you're confident in yourself, it really doesn't matter what everybody else thinks and what everybody else is doing, as long as you've got you at that point.
And that's the same thing with your artwork. You can portray that to be whatever you want, and if someone could look at it and see a difference. So really, it never messes up. It's the way you see it at the end of the day. And
absolutely.
That's why I tell my son now when he does his like art, like just put it to whatever you see, because he has to like read a book and draw what he sees. But he just puts everything in one little box. He don't want to complete the whole page.
Yeah.
You have to try to fill that out, but his mind's right there. But you tell him to draw a dinosaur or a lizard, it's every scale, every teeth mark, everything. So we just figured out what he loves to draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know now too, especially with summertime coming up, and it's gonna be the weather's gonna be a lot nicer. You want that? You stay painting inside? You like to get outside and do live pictures?
So I tried in early spring because we just got our house. Brandon and I just bought our house in December. And so right when spring first hit, I tried to set up a outdoor, basically like artist nook, I guess you could call it. But due to inclement weather and lots of wind, that came to an end very quick. So I at least think for most likely the rest of this year, I am going to be working inside. I'm trying to kind of figure something to move it outdoors because I personally love to be outside. I don't like to be inside at all, but I kind of met in the middle and I set up a whole workstation in the garage so that I can open up the garage doors and at least have some sort of like airflow and like I'm kind of outside, but not really.
Yeah, the closest I got to doing arts and craft was we did a paint and wine night, and that was the closest I can get. I went for the wine, ended up doing a painting, and I was halfway through it, and I realized I was butchering it, so I just did my own interpretation, and I called it a day. They,
Yeah.
they had me doing palm trees and a sunset, and I could not do a sun for anything.
It happens. It's your own son. It's fine.
Yeah, they say mix this, mix yellow, mix orange, mix red, come together, get a color. I was like, yeah, it's not working out for me.
It's a little too dark, but it happens. Happens.
Now, can you see yourself teaching a class of art?
I definitely could. I definitely like to show people how to do a lot of stuff. I'm very good at communication, and I'm very good at showing people how to do things. And honestly, having my own collective place to show people like the passion in artwork and show them like it's a lot more than just throwing paint on canvas. That would be something I really would like to do. I don't know how exactly I'd get there, but I'm imagining if that's my plan, I'll figure it out.
That's what's up. And it just seems like right now you're on that path where if you figure something out, you'll find how to get there and get there. And I know at times, motivation is something that a lot of people like gotta find. So where do you go to find your motivation?
I look at a lot of other people's lives. Like I spend a lot of time on social media, and a lot of people will say that that's a very negative thing. Like you should not spend a lot of time on social media. I personally think that, if you're looking in the right spot, social media can be used for good. When I do go on social media, I'm looking at a lot of smaller artists, people that are just like me, starting small businesses. And I reach out to these people from all over the world to basically just kind of collab with them and see like what brings them their motivation. Like, why are they doing this? And, you kind of realize that there's a lot of people in this world that go through the same struggles that you do. And everybody is quick to jump and be like, nobody knows what it's like. And I even do it. But there are at least one other person in this world that has gone through what you're going through right now at this very point in time. So, looking at other people's stuff and hearing other people's stories and hearing why they do what they do, sometimes that does give you the motivation to keep pushing yourself further. Like sometimes when you hear a sad story about somebody else, that kind of makes you sit back and think like, wow, that's really deep. Like I'm happy that has not happened to me. And I use that as like power to be like, okay, this is going to help somebody some way, somehow. And I'm just going to do it just to be that person.
See, I think that's something to me that you touched on that separates you. And I think a lot of other people that are, to me, great, because I see y'all work and I think it's amazing. And like a lot of times when someone sees something or they want help, they're afraid to ask, or they'll see someone doing something, they're afraid to say, oh, how did you do this? Or where'd you get that mindset from? You have to have that courage to ask, because if not, you'll just keep watching that person succeed and you'll just be sitting in the back seat the whole time.
Absolutely. You got to take control. Like, it's got to happen.
And that's the big thing, like working with high school kids. A lot of the kids, they'll need help, but they have that pride where they don't want to ask for the help. And I just tell them all the time that the resources are there with social media, internet, whatever it is, YouTube. You can figure out how to do anything nowadays, especially with Zoom. And a lot of people took COVID as, oh, I'm gonna take this time off, where other people actually build up habits. How did you bounce back with COVID?
Oh, you cut out there.
I'm
Want to
sorry,
repeat that?
how did you bounce back with COVID and everything that was going on?
So honestly, when COVID hit, I was going through a very, very dark period of my life. Nothing was working how it was supposed to. I was working a job that didn't bring me any sort of fulfillment, didn't bring me any sort of happiness. I didn't have any quality of life. And so when COVID hit, it was kind of the entire world literally shut down. And that is when I kind of sat there in my darkest moment and really thought about it. I'm like, you can take this time to build something of yourself, to make something of yourself, and to be successful, or you can stay in this dark place and it's just going to get worse. And after, all of like the things came out where the government was helping us with a lot of things, everybody was laid off. I used all of that money that the government gave me and I put it into rebuilding myself and redesigning my life to be exactly what I wanted it to be. And it worked. It worked 100%. And I do not have a kid. I just don't. I'm not like upset about it anymore. And I've moved past it. And I'm just happy that I sat down and made the conscious decision to want better for myself, because I feel like a lot of people, you want better for yourself, but you don't want to do what's necessary to make yourself better. And you have to come to that realization that nobody's going to do this for you. Only you're going to do this for you. And that COVID definitely gave me a lot of strength to break free from all of the negativity and all of the bad stuff and just start over.
It's funny when you took COVID as something being negative and you turn it into a positive, a lot of people just sat back, and that's what it takes, is having that resilience. Now, did you have people in your corner cheering you on for that, or was it more mental yourself?
It was more mentally myself. I mean, I had a few people that really did help me out a ton in that point in time. I was in the middle of, I had nowhere to live at the time. And I ended up moving in with a friend of mine, and his mother helped me so much beyond belief to try to like give me that motivation and that courage to be like, you can do this. Like, you just need to have the support. And Michelle, she was a huge supporter at that point in time when everything was falling apart. And I could not thank that woman enough for her support. And then after I ended up moving out of there, it was kind of a lot of a mental battle going back and forth between like, am I succeeding? Am I failing? What's going on? And there was so much confusion. And it's, looking back on it, I kind of just wish I had no fear about it, because everything was working. It was, as long as it's moving, it's moving. Doesn't matter how slow, it's still moving. And I'm just looking back on all my hard work, and I'm just happy that I kept pushing, and I'm happy that I had those small few people that were in my corner just giving me that motivation to just do it, just go.
I mean, just hearing your story and just starting to follow you now, I know it's inspiring, and seeing your artwork. Now, for people who don't know where they can find you, where can they find you on, I know, Facebook, Instagram? Where can they find you and find your work?
So you can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram. It's artista_KB. I post a lot of stuff. Lately, I've been kind of lacking on posting just because I've been trying to get everything together. So I haven't had much time to work on anything as of right now. And Inspired Creations also does have their own Facebook page. So if you wanted to check out the store itself, they have their own Facebook page that you can look at so that you can see the other vendors that are there as well. But majority of my stuff is on Instagram and Facebook. I think I'm going to be starting a TikTok for my art solely so that I can do compilations of all of the creations like as they're being done. Because I feel like that's cool for people to watch to see how all of these things are created. So that's in the works. It's not out yet, but hopefully whenever I do figure it out, I will be posting it on my Facebook and Instagram just to let other people know that I am on another platform.
Yeah, I tried the TikTok. It was too complicated for me with filters and everything else. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I love TikTok. It's so much fun. My cat is TikTok famous, so he loves it.
So before we go, I got some rapid fire questions for you, some fun ones. And
Sure.
the first one's always inspired by my son. He's a big Fortnite player. So you jump out of an airplane, you have to survive on a desert island for 1 week. It's you and 5 people. Who you taking?
I'm taking my boyfriend, Brandon. I'd probably take my dad, my sister, my niece, and I think that's it. That would be 5, right?
One more. You got one more.
One more. Probably, I would say maybe my mother too. I guess my mom could come.
Right.
She's pretty cool.
And you're all done. You get to have any meal from anywhere in the world. What are you having?
I am honestly just really down for calamari at any point in time. That is like my go-to. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever we go, we have to have calamari.
Absolutely.
And then you get to have a dream concert. Any 3 artists, dead or alive. Who's performing?
Amy Winehouse.
Nice.
I definitely want Ozzy. And then I would probably honestly see Tom Petty as well. That was one that I wanted to see in person.
Nice. And when you're sitting back and you're drawing your masterpiece artwork, what's in your head? What are you listening to?
everything. I have the broad music style ever, and it really does go back off like how my day was, because like if I'm having a real good day, I'm in a good mood, I'm listening to a lot of like really tech songs, high beat, all sorts of just like really high energy songs. And then if I'm having like a not so good day, it'll really like mellow out. I'll go into some jazz, stuff like that. And if I'm really just trying to not feel any emotion whatsoever, and I'm just trying to do it, I do play a lot of classical music that has no words in it, so there's no real
You can
feeling.
make your own words. I know a lot of
Yeah.
times in classical, you just make your own words.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, again, I want to have you on because I see your work and I'm following your story. I just think you're inspirational. And when you had your resilience and you never gave up, you had a goal and you're going to get it. And more young girls need to see your story and realize whatever dream they have, they can get. So when that young girl comes up to you and says she needs advice because she's afraid to make that next step, what do you tell that young girl?
The one thing that I like to say to people is that it's okay to be afraid. You're going into something completely new. You have no idea how you're supposed to feel. You have no idea what you're going to do. It's scary. It is so scary. But you just have to know and have the confidence in yourself that you can do this, because nobody's going to believe in you unless you believe in you. So you just really need to go in there and just do your best. If you mess up, do it again. Do it over and over again. If practice makes permanent. Like, so if you mess up this time, okay, try it again. We're going to keep going and we're going to keep trying to fix this so that it's permanently good every single time. It's just, it takes time. Just breathe. Just do it and breathe.
I love that because I've never heard practice makes permanent, but it makes perfect sense. I've always heard practice makes perfect, but the way you put your words together, that's why you're artistic, not just with the paint, but with the words.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely appreciate you you come on and I salute you. Your work's amazing. I know I'll definitely be checking out the Instagram and posting a link soon. And I forgot the city you're in because that's I'm in Rhode Island, so that's far away from me. Anywhere, anywhere past work's a long trip for me in my head.
Yep.
But your work's amazing, and just hearing your story, you should get back out there, post some videos of you singing too. Show that talent off too.
Absolutely. I will. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too.